Hello YouTube, Robin Hood Bricks here, and welcome to my first question and answers interview called Ask Robin, where you provide the questions. Well, about a week ago, I asked all of you for comments and questions that we could use in a question and answer session run by the wonderful Mrs. Hood. And I got a fantastic response with over 200 questions, which really echoes the amazing support you've given the channel over the last 12 months. So without further ado, I'll hand over to our compere for the day, Mrs. Hood.
Thank you very much, Robin, and hello, viewers. And I suppose before I start, Robin, I just want you to confirm for your viewers that you have not had foresight of any of these questions and that this is going to be a complete surprise.
Yes, it is independent and I'm mildly apprehensive.
So I suppose just to run you through the format so you know what you're expecting.
Okay.
Like you say, you got over 200 questions and a lot of them were for me. So thank you very much, everyone. But what I've done is I've basically distilled a lot of the questions down to some sort of broad themes to start with, but then we're going to have an exciting quick fire round at the end.
Right. I'll look forward to that.
And I suppose just before we start, Robin, you have a bit of a reputation for being quite verbose.
Yes.
The quick fire round is limited to one word or one sentence answers only.
Right. Agreed.
And I think your viewers will appreciate that. But we start with the longer questions first. So first one, there were quite a few questions about your design process. And people commenting that you show your viewers the build process and the Lego digital designer process. But people are keen to understand the step before that. So how you come up with ideas, how you filter them out and work out which ones you want to move forward. So it'd be really interesting if you could just give them a bit of an idea about your thought process. And they also had the question, how many don't make the cut?
Right, well, the last bit's the easiest bit to start with. How many don't make the cut is a lot. A lot of ideas don't make the cut. And for a broader answer, I suppose I keep loads of lists, and I do that with all of the suggestions that my watchers provide as well. And I generally just jot them down as I have them, just going about my normal life at work and all the rest of it. But I think my best dedicated time to thinking of new ideas, including things like the GBC factory, which we're pretty much bringing to a close at the moment, is just lying flat on my back in the sun when it's summer and I'm on holiday. So I think I always have a pad with me when I actually am doing that. So I never really get a full break. And I just write down loads of ideas. And the other main inspiration is parts, of course. So if you get a very interesting part in a hall that you didn't even know existed before you went to a particular Bricklink store, for instance, it might be that inspires a whole build. And I've got a good example of that will be coming up in the next few weeks when I be building some more cargo carriages. And I won't spoil them yet, but there's two coming up that are completely inspired by pieces that I didn't know existed, a week before that. So that is two of the main avenues which I come up with all my ideas, and I guess I explore a great number of them to a degree, and then it kind of gets whittled down by the sort of progress I'm making and the enthusiasm I still have for them. So much like anything, if you have a successful idea that's really going places, that tends to be the one that makes it all of the way.
Oh, brilliant. And I think just really interesting because you took August off from the channel.
Yes.
But it wasn't really August off because I know that actually, a lot of things came out of that thinking time. GBC, wasn't it? The
Yes.
haunted station you thought of during that August month?
Yes, all sorts. And I started my next modular, which is probably going to be the next major series in the new year, but I haven't even finished that yet because on an average week of producing 3 videos and preparing for them, getting all the bits for them, building them, whilst videoing, and then all the editing and so on, it really takes, well, an inordinate amount of time, really. So I don't have much time for designing, and designing is not a thing you can really rush or really plan too much, and it's best to do when you're not tired.
Well, thankfully you've got the Christmas holidays to get a bit of design time in. So second question then, following on from that, what is the most frustrating thing to actually make that you designed?
Oh, I suppose it probably would be the GBC. I'm thinking there's a few things. I tell you what, the subway was annoying. The actual track, yeah, that's probably it. Just the fact that a track goes underneath, well, in between two tables, the one with everything on, like the castle and so on, and the one that actually has the subway track, because the distance between those, as you'll probably know if you've watched all my videos, is a drinking can height, because that's what I actually use to hold up one table from the other. So when all of the track came apart into several sections at the far side, right next to the wall, but in between those tables, and I couldn't lift up the tables because they had all the stuff on. Basically, I ended up with a very scraped arm, and I was in a very bad mood. A lot of swearing.
And that reminds me of another question, which I hadn't actually written down, but as we've mentioned them, have you ever been tempted to have a drink out of one of your drink cans?
No, I haven't, because they're only solid when they're full. And also, I bought the cheapest ones available, and they're all something like cucumber and mint flavour or something. So, no.
Brilliant. So a couple of questions about the video process. So, you had a lot of questions about your videos, and one viewer said that in particular, the way that you approach your builds actually really teaches people about the design process because you break it down into very manageable chunks. Another viewer praised the high quality of your videos, and both asked if you have a background in either developing media content or teaching and training. So it would be quite interesting to tell your viewers how you've developed your craft.
Right, okay, golly, that's a tricky one. Well, I don't really have a background in sort of teaching and training and things like that, but I have done small elements of that in my career. But I think what I was trying to do right from the beginning was create a Lego channel whereby people who either don't have the space or don't have the finances or the ability to have their own city can kind of live vicariously and enjoy that whole journey, but through my city, really. And that's what I wanted to do. So I wanted them to have every step of that process, which is why I include things like the brick calls, even though they are less popular, because they are part of the journey of creating a Lego city. So that's why I try and bring in the design and the thought processes as well, because a lot of channels might just show you the end building. And well, it's quite hard to appreciate when you're just shown the end product. And it's also probably more interesting as well for me to tell and for you to listen when you kind of see the dead ends that perhaps were gone down as well, and the reasons why perhaps solutions that might appear better on first glance weren't used. So I think that's part of the whole journey, and that's what I quite like sharing on my channel. The one big criticism I get is that my videos are sort of 30 to 40 minutes long, and that just doesn't suit some people. But that's fine. I won't be able to please all people all the time, whatever I do. But at least by being what I think of as being probably over thorough, I agree. But at least it means that people get a good view of the whole process. And I think for those that really do enjoy that, I think that's probably their favourite part of Robin Hood Bricks.
And you don't work in the media world, so
No.
YouTube is something that you've had to teach yourself, isn't it, how to
Yes.
film?
So my very first videos were considerably worse, but not so much because of the techniques of the videoing or the editing or anything like that, but probably just my confidence, to be honest. But I suppose I've got an eye for detail, and that's probably the one thing I use. So I didn't start making videos until I thought I could make decent ones, and maybe they took even longer to produce. So I think it's a question of throwing effort at it until you get the result that you need.
And following on from that, what lessons have you learned over the last 18 months that you wish you knew when you started?
Ooh, golly, I don't know. I don't think I've made any glaring problems that I'd go back and try and fix really at all. No, I'm not. I'm not sure. Not that I think that everything's gone perfectly, but I don't think there's a great deal of stuff that I'd go back on. I mean, you can probably tell I do quite a lot of planning, and just the fact that I haven't had to go back and redo major sections of my city is testament to the fact that I had planned it quite quite too thoroughly, arguably. Um, I suppose one of the things I'd probably go back and do actually differently is some of the supporting structures I've used underneath my very three-dimensional city are not as robust as others. So the areas underneath, say, the donut shop and the sort of bike shop, there's a bit of a wobbly area there. And at some point, I'm going to have to pull that up and redo it. And I think economy of use of pieces probably was a bit too much of a priority for achieving a bit of a wobbly result rather than a more robust one. But anyway, no major regrets.
I mean, I have no idea how you haven't yet fallen through some of the areas of your tables, particularly when you have to reach far to the back to put the facades in. I mean, I haven't seen you do it, but I can only imagine how precarious it is.
Well, I've designed it to make the absolute best use of all the space possible. So we've got the maximum proportion of Lego table to room area. But also I had to prioritize that I could reach it physically, all of it. So that's why I've got 2 standing holes, for example. But nonetheless, to reach right into the corners, I need to be standing on a step ladder with my weight taken by some of the tables and then doing it with one hand very fully outstretched. And yes, it can be difficult. And going back to the thing where, had I regretted anything, some of the facades, when they had quite a delicate interior, and then some of that interior fell out when I was at full stretch. Yeah, that was another bad moment.
Maybe Santa's got you a grabber for Christmas.
Yeah, Santa should get me a grabber, really, shouldn't he? Yeah, a really good Lego grabber. It's not all magnetic. You could just have a magnet on a stick.
Could do. In fact, that could be the next thing to design.
Yeah,
a Lego grabber.
A sort of sticky grabber. Yeah.
So actually, I think you've probably you might have answered some of this question already. But back to the design process. So how far ahead is your city planned? So you had quite a few viewers sort of expressing concern that you are nearing the end of the space that you've got. Have you got all of the rest of Lego City planned out?
No, in a word, I don't. Quite alarmingly not so, actually. At the beginning, I started, if you think about the city, it's kind of in 3 lots, isn't it? The entire side that I did at the beginning, then the middle side with the central station on and so on, and then the far side, which will have the fairground on. And I think I planned that first third fairly thoroughly before starting, really. So I knew what I was doing and I knew where I was going entirely. And then when it got to things like the areas that are filled with Diagon Alley now, I hadn't planned those. They were just sort of like TBC, to fill in later. And I was kind of glad when that set helped along with that. The middle, I knew that I was going to have a central station and so on, but I'm sort of working out as I go along. I knew where the airport was going to go, really big things, but the rest isn't planned. The rest, and now the areas that remain available, apart from the idea of having a farm in the corner and a fairground and so on, nothing is actually planned, which does make it a bit harder for me. Now, that doesn't mean that individual builds aren't planned. I've got some rides planned. I've got some more train carriages planned and things like that. And that would go, and some buildings as well. I suppose that would go a number of weeks ahead. And then I'd have my next big project, which will probably be the next modular, which will be another, 6-7-parter or something. But that's not even fully designed yet. So I'd say I've probably got about, 1 month, 2 months worth in the bag at any one time, sort of maximum. And then I'm buying the pieces for those, of course, kind of right up to needing them.
Yeah, well, thank you. Right, question about the community now. So, one of the things that I personally really love about your channel, and wasn't something I was expecting, was the community that you've sort of built up, and you get great input into your builds and great feedback, and it's become a really collaborative process with your audience. So what are the best things that come to mind that your community has helped influence in the city?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the best unexpected thing, you've exactly got it right. The best unexpected thing was all of the feedback that actually improves the city to a great deal. And I didn't expect that. I thought people might come up with things you think, oh yeah, that's all right, that's slightly better than my idea. But really, I think the best ones are the ones where they've challenged me almost to do something that I thought, oh, I don't want to do that because it's just going to be difficult, or this is good enough. And those ones have been really the best. And the latest example of those was getting the robotic arms working on the top floor of the GBC factory. And it does look absolutely great. And it probably took me a day to get it right, to be honest. But I think the net product, especially with it being a potential, I say potential, almost certain Lego ideas submission now, really, really adds to it. And I wouldn't have done that. So, that is a definite example of one of the really good things that I've been encouraged to do. And I'm certain there are others, but I can't think of any immediately right now.
One thing that I would love for you to share with everyone, which is one of my favourite things, is the story about the little boy on holiday.
Oh yeah, so I get lots of comments, and thankfully the vast majority of them are very positive and so on. But the odd one is just even better than that. And I suppose I had my month off in the summer of August just to have a break really from doing everything, even though I was still designing and so on, a break from producing videos. And a lot of people, including a lot of my younger viewers, were very concerned that I was off for a whole month, and were obviously asking for explanations as to where I was. And a Welsh father got in touch with me to say that his son was very concerned that I was on holiday, and then when they went on holiday to South Wales, was asked every 2 minutes where Robin Hood Bricks was in the same resort, because he presumably assumed that everyone who went on holiday went to the same place. So that was just a lovely story, and it's one of my favourite comments. So yeah, I do try and pin the really good ones more recently, but yeah, that was definitely a lovely comment to receive. I do like getting nice comments like that.
Yeah, no, I love that one as well. Right, question about buying Lego now. So you had quite a few comments about your parts bought to parts used ratio, which is efficient.
Yes.
And you also had some comments about the fact that you find and use rare and old pieces. So how do you identify what to buy? And are there any tips that you'd like to share with your viewers who want to be more clinical in their own Bricklink purchases?
Wow. Okay. So as you probably know, I do most of my builds digitally, and I use LDD Lego Digital Designer. But I'd probably, if you're going to start afresh, I'd probably pick a newer platform that's a bit more common or more well supported now, like Studio, which is on the Bricklink website. It's all free. But the one I use is just because I'm used to it now, and I'm much quicker. But because of doing it that way, which I can definitely heartily recommend, I know exactly the pieces that I'm going to need when I finish designing. So there's a very simple process where you can kind of export the parts list to a file, and you can upload that to Bricklink itself, the website. So in a few clicks and words and button presses, you can have the full list of all those pieces for that build on a wanted list, essentially. And then I would then split that into the hard to find parts, which are generally, well, harder to find and definitely not in current production by Lego themselves, and ones that are more common because you can pretty much get those everywhere, and fill in the gaps from Lego directly if necessary. And then I would focus on which store basically has the most of the parts that are harder to get. And because I would do several projects at once, I would have wanted lists, say about 7 wanted lists for 7 different projects, and I'd be buying parts for all 7 of those projects, kind of in a rolling process. When I designed something new, I'd have a new list, and when I completed a list, it would come off, and so on. So I'm always buying for several projects at once, and therefore, if one store's got 30 of the rarer things I need, and one's got 10, well, I'm clearly going to pick the one that's got 30. So then I would fill my basket with them, and then I just go through the whole rest of the store, filling it with the non-urgent parts that are specifically needed, and then I just go and have a look at all the interesting parts that they might have, and who knows what you discover there that might even influence entirely new builds. So that's the process I use, and I just find it very efficient because I'm not really buying any parts that I don't need for a specific project, but I do occasionally buy parts that are not specific, just when they're really cheap in that store, but only as an afterthought, and just interesting things in weird colors or something like that.
And you're very organised, but even despite your organisation, sometimes you're running up and down the stairs trying to find a part that you bought and you can't remember where you put.
Yeah, well, it's hard. I mean, I'm confined to the Lego room, and that's fine. But I don't have what some people have got, which is 1,001 of those plastic drawers, and I've just got cardboard boxes and little plastic bags full of parts. So yeah, I try and keep my system organised by putting the parts when I receive them and I've washed them, I try and put them into a bag that for the project that they relate to. But they don't always all make it into the right place.
But I mean, a surprising amount do. You know,
A surprising amount do. Yeah, it does work, but it looks to somebody else really messy.
So you also had a lot of questions about you. So people are desperate to see what you look like. And a number of people asked if having a popular YouTube channel has impacted your daily life. I must admit, I'm convinced that one day we'll be in a supermarket and someone will hear your voice and go, Robin.
They definitely would at a Lego convention or something, you'd imagine. Or recognise my hands.
Yeah, you'll be reaching out for an apple and they'll
Yeah.
go. So what's your view on a face reveal? And also, will you ever do any live streams?
Okay, so I've always said I'll do a face reveal on 100,000 subscribers. So that's my end goal. So we'll keep that going, and it's not out of any sort of I don't know particular drive to not show my face. I'm not hiding from the world as such. It's just that for me the channel is about Lego, not about me. And you do get different Lego channels where it's more about a Lego community and sort of talking about Lego and sort of sharing whatever. But for me, it's about sort of building my city, and therefore the city and the bricks are the star. And I'd rather have them in front of camera all the time rather than me. But that's just a personal preference, I suppose. There's nothing wrong with the others. In fact, I watch some as well, so that's fine.
Right. We're moving on to the quickfire round now.
Okie dokie.
So these are, just to remind you,
Yeah.
one word
Yeah.
answers or sentence.
I'll try.
Okay, you try. I might wave my hand at you if you're going on too far. Right. What is your favourite Christmas song?
Oh, Do I Know It's Christmas by like Band-Aid, whatever it is.
Good
Yeah.
choice. Did I know about this Lego compulsion before we got married?
You did not, but I'm not sure I did either, really, because it's relatively recent. We've been married for 11 years.
Yeah, 12 years.
12 years?
Yeah.
12? No, 13.
Oh my God.
We've been married for 13 years and we don't know how long we've been married for.
I must admit, it really did just start with a train. It was when that first train appeared, and then
Which was what, about 5 years ago
Yeah.
or something?
yeah. So you were
it's
a late
relatively recent.
bloomer. What is the best tea for patented hot tea technique?
It is Assam tea. That's the type of tea, and the brand I buy is Twinings. Very flavourful Assam tea. Yeah.
Tea of champions.
Yep.
What is your favourite thing in your Lego city?
Oh golly, that's difficult. I mean, I really do like the GBC thing, but I think I like the really multi-leveled areas, like the marina or the beachy boardwalk type bit, just because they are very different from everyone else's sort of setup.
Yeah, no, I agree. What addition would I like to see in Brick Nottingham?
This is you.
This is for me.
Right.
I thought I'd keep a question for
fine.
me in. We've got 2 universities in the city, and one of them has got a very iconic white building. So I would like to see that added into Brick Nottingham.
The Trent building.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But
Wow.
we'll just see if you can do that. Right. If you could ask Lego to bring back one discontinued piece, what would it be and why?
Discontinued piece.
Yes.
Crikey, that's difficult.
I actually know what the answer is to this.
Oh, do you? Go on, help me then.
Those battery things that they've recently
Oh,
discontinued.
what a rechargeable battery
That's
pack.
the one.
Well, they're discontinuing all of power functions now.
Mm.
So, yeah, that would be good. They're fantastic. I have actually bought quite a few now, so I'm probably all right. But for the world, yes, they are fantastic. So we'll say them. Yeah, 8878 rechargeable battery pack.
Do you know, I was trying to think about, could I quiz you on any of the numbers? I'm
But
glad
you don't even know the name, do you?
Same question then, but about a discontinued Lego theme.
Okay, what theme would I bring back?
Yeah.
Do you know, I'd kind of like to invent a theme instead. I think the obvious answer would be castles or pirates, but I think we could do better and almost do like a Game of Thrones type line where it's kind of castles, but maybe with sort of supernatural baddies. And I know they did that a bit with the sort of fantasy castle line. So I guess it's kind of that fantasy castle line I think would be awesome.
Cool, lovely. What is your favourite decade for Lego design? So 70s, 80s,
Yeah.
90s.
I've got to say it's probably now in a way, or the noughties. I mean, my favourite sets are things like the City Harbour sets and the City Farm sets and stuff like that. So I suppose that's all about 10 years old now. So I'd probably go for about then. I mean, don't get me wrong, all the sort of 80s stuff was fantastic. But if you have it next to some of the more modern stuff now, it really is quite limited just because of its part selection, which is why when I've done things like my Eldorado Fortress, I've tried to incorporate a few modern pieces just to sort of bring it a bit up to date so it doesn't look quite so sort of clunky.
Brilliant. Very long sentence there.
Yeah, sorry.
Is there a Lego set that you wanted as a child and still don't have?
Probably hundreds. All of the original castle sets, like Lion Castle and the Black Falcon's Fortress and all that. Yeah, all of them.
Cool. Lego
And
Advent.
monorails as well.
Not more trains.
No, no.
No. So, Lego Advent calendars, what is your opinion on them, having had one this year?
I think they're good fun in Advent. I think the pieces that I'm going to get from it are very limited because the amount of I've got the city one, the amount of sort of those Technic bricks that hold on the wheel axle sort of things and loads of one by one round black tires is just too many to use really. So I don't think they're that useful as pieces. But I do really like the policeman jumper. So I think they're good. I think I'd like one next year. Yeah.
I was going to say, would you like one next year?
Yeah.
Santa has noted this. Would you consider getting some 9-volt trains and upgrading them to power functions?
Yes. I mean, yeah. I mean, if money was no object, I mean, it would be ideal to get 9-volt track in a way as well, and then you could have things running without all these battery boxes and all the rest on. I mean, I do think power functions is still the most versatile, and that it is still remote controlled, but you don't need to use a phone or something like that to control it. So I think that is a good idea. And I have taken influences for cargo carriages from that era. I suppose the actual train would be a bit more clunky, but I think I might go to that era for some steam train action.
Would that fit?
Well, that's another thing I have to be very careful of because my tunnels I made. That's another answer to would I go back and do something differently? I suppose is my tunnels are so tight to the existing trains I had at the time because I wanted them to be crazy close. Ditto with the bridges, so everything is a just absolute tiles breadth from my white passenger train in size. So if I try and have another new train now, it's kind of got to have the same cross section. Otherwise, it just won't make it around. Simple as that.
Right, I'm going to read this one out verbatim, and I think this is my favourite question. So, Robin, you are a big reason I've spent 10 to 15% of my disposable income on Lego this year. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good because if you get as much enjoyment out of it as I do, then I think you're a 10 to 15% happier person, if not 20 to 30% happier. So no, I'm sure that's a positive move you've made.
Robin, will you start a whole new room once your current room is full?
I think you know the answer to
I
that.
think the answer's no.
Yes. I think the answer no. I'm very lucky, everyone, because we have dedicated the guest bedroom to the Lego room, which is quite an achievement in a way, and it is a very big room. The only room that's probably bigger in our entire house is probably the lounge, and I don't think would be allowed to commandeer that.
No.
So yeah, I think we'll just have to make do with what we've got. And besides, I can go under the tables with things like my undersea thing, and I'm considering gluing more stuff to the ceiling as well.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it's shame we don't. It's a shame we don't live in America and we don't have a big, basement or barn. But quite frankly, for a British house, you've got plenty of Lego room.
Probably very lucky for most British
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
There we go. Someone who clearly knows Nottingham's link to Torval and Dean, will you add an ice rink to Brick Nottingham?
Yes, so we've got a real life national ice centre in real life Nottingham, and I had absolutely no plans to do anything similar in Brick Nottingham so far. It's really the first I've heard of it, but I suppose things like that, and I get requests for stadiums of all sorts of sports as well, and racetracks as well. They're very, very big builds, which are very hard to do even as a facade, really, because for obvious reasons, an ice skating rink's pretty much a flat round bit in the middle, isn't it? And they're relatively featureless in many respects, all these playing fields and so on. So that's the reason why I haven't. I'd rather get in 8 buildings into the same space. So it would be ideal. And if I had a massive Lego basement with 4 times the space, I'm sure I would have a huge stadium of some sport or other.
Brilliant. Will you take that poor naked man in from the cold balcony?
No, he's funny.
Who cleans your Lego city? Is it Mrs. Hood?
No, it isn't Mrs. Hood. It's Robin Hood. I do everything. She wouldn't put up with that. Not for a moment. I'm not sure I'd trust her either, to be quite frank with you. No, I clean it.
Good answer. What is your least favourite thing about doing Lego?
Least favourite thing? I don't think there is a bad thing, is there? Washing Lego parts at second hand, finding human hair in your Lego order. Cleaning the Lego city is pretty bad, actually. Yes, there's a few. Yeah, I think the worst one is definitely feeling like you desperately need to wash your hands after opening a package.
I'll leave it at that one. And then this is a bit of a random question, but I felt I had to include it. Again, verbatim, someone asked, did I miss the questions? And the answer was no.
Did you miss them?
Someone said, did I miss the questions?
Oh, right.
Like, no, you didn't. So
No, you
I've
didn't.
included their question.
Right.
So that's all we had.
Right. Well, that sounds really good.
Well, and to be honest, you had a load of brilliant questions. So, if people enjoy this, I think we should do it again in a few weeks' time.
Well, we certainly could. So, yeah. Right, so I guess it only leaves us with the duty of wishing you all a absolutely wonderful Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
And thanks to you all again for contributing to the channel and making it everything that it has been over the last year. It's amazing the progress we've made, actually, because I was just looking back. A year ago, we'd pretty much only done that first third, just completed the first rail loop, done one of the rail bridges. And since then, we've done absolutely everything on the sort of station side of things, filled in all those gaps in the old town and all the rest of it. So, yeah, long may that progress continue. So as always, thank you very much for watching. Do remember to like, comment and subscribe for more awesome Lego videos. And if you value this channel, there are many ways in which you can support it. Do check out the links in the description below. And next time on Robin Hood Bricks, I think we'll be doing part 7 of the GBC factory, which will be going briefly through the design process and placement in Brick Nottingham. And we'll have it actually whirring and going in its final destination. Fantastic. So, see you then.